You're listening to the Life Edit Project podcast, the show where recovering perfectionists learn how to feel better, do better, and have better relationships. I'm your favorite life coach and podcast host, Coach Elizabeth, and today I'm going to give you some simple strategies to help you become a better parent without needing to be any more perfect. Ready? Let's go. Good day, good people. Welcome back to episode 104, can you believe it, of the Life Edit Project podcast. I am super excited to have you with me here today. We're talking about parenting again today. I know last week I talked a little bit about mom stress and how to cut back on some of that. And we are just coming off of the heels of Mother's Day, which also means that Father's Day is right around the corner. And May, of course, is still Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I'm thinking a lot about the intersection of perfectionism and parenting. So I'm just going to keep talking about it, at least for right now. So I really wanted to give you something that was super practical, something you could walk away with today and feel like you're better prepared to handle parenting without losing your ever-loving mind, right? Because we all need that. And so here's the truth. Raising kids, it ain't easy. And it doesn't matter how young or how old your kids are or how many of them you have. And even if your child is well-behaved or really independent, parenting still comes with a certain amount of pressure and stress and, yes, self-doubt, especially if you happen to lean towards the extreme end of the perfectionism spectrum, right? But here's the thing. There is no such thing as being a perfect parent. And I want to remind you that that's totally okay, because you don't have to be perfect to raise a healthy and emotionally balanced and well-adjusted kid that grows into a well-rounded, emotionally intelligent adult, right? It's not necessary. If you want to be the kind of parent that raises good humans, all you really need to do is pay attention to three key areas: your attention, your instruction, and your correction. And honestly, if you nail those three things, that's like 85% of parenting, right? So let's talk about each area. So first up is your attention. And by attention, I literally mean what you focus on. As a parent, there are all kinds of things that are vying for your attention, but I want you to be mindful and intentional about giving your attention and giving your focus toward the things that actually matter for you and in your household and in the life of your kid, not just in right now when they're throwing a hissy fit or having a temper tantrum or, thinking that you're the worst parent ever, but for the long term and the overall well-being of your child. And so part of what that means is you should absolutely be focused on giving your child some consistent and meaningful interaction and doing that consistently over time. Now, please don't get hung up on trying to do this perfectly, right? Remember, perfection is not a requirement here, but spending quality time and having meaningful interactions with your kid, even in small doses and short spurts, if you do that consistently or just more consistently than you do right now, you will be spending your attention in a very worthwhile way that has a tremendous and positive impact on your kid. Somewhere else that you can put your attention that's going to really matter and make a difference is to be interested in the things that your kid is interested in, right? And I don't mean you need to have these things in common, but if you can show interest in the things that your kid is interested in because you are interested in them, it's going to help foster that connection. And of course, connection is the antidote to perfectionism in relationships, right? A third way that I want you to practice being intentional with your attention is to really decide what needs to have your attention in the first place, right? I want you to decide what the big things are for you as a parent and then practice letting the small things go, right? You don't need to think about them. You don't need to dwell on them. You don't need to give them tons of your time and attention if they don't really matter, right? So use your attention, because you don't have a limitless supply of it. Use the limited attention that you have on the things that actually matter. A second key area where practicing intentionality can make a world of difference as a parent is in your instruction. And by instruction, I mean what you teach and how you teach it. And there are really three main ways that we instruct our children. We teach them by demonstration, and those are the things that we do. We instruct them by explanation, the things that we say, and we can instruct them through exploration by allowing them space and freedom to figure things out and do things for themselves. Remember, kids are always watching what it is that we do, right? They're watching us when they're babies. They're watching us when they're toddlers. They're watching us when they're teenagers, right? They are watching and learning from our example. So it's not enough to just tell your kids what it is that they should think about, to give them instruction verbally. Sometimes you need to show them what it looks like. But then it's also really important to understand as a parent that there are some lessons that we cannot give our children. There are some lessons that our children have to learn on their own. We can't learn it for them, and we can't be the ones to instruct them. Life has to give the lessons, right? And we can make space for that type of instruction as parents by giving them a safe space to explore and figure things out on their own. It's like that video that was making the rounds around TikTok and Instagram like a couple years ago. The mom is trying to hand a pan to her teenager and she keeps saying, "It's hot on the bottom," and the kid keeps trying to grab it from the bottom, right? And so then she says again, "It's hot on the bottom." Again, they reach and try to grab it from the bottom, and she finally yells, "It's hot on the bottom," right? We all have these types of experiences where we're saying the thing to our kid to try to teach them what it is they need to know, but that's not getting through. Sometimes we have to let the children experience it for themselves in order for the lessons to really sink in. And don't be afraid to do that, but be prepared with the first aid, be prepared to comfort them, right? Be prepared to reinforce whatever the lesson is that life has just dished out for your kid, right? That is how we can be more intentional and more effective in instructing our children. So I hope you're enjoying this episode. Listen, if you are in Palm Beach County, Florida, and you are parenting or are otherwise responsible for a teenager, listen up, I got something for you. I'm super excited to announce that I'm partnering with my church, St. John Del Rey, to launch a new group coaching program for teens who live or attend school in the South Palm Beach County area. The Powerhouse Mindset Youth Training Program is an 8-week group coaching program designed by yours truly, and the purpose of it is to empower teens to prepare for and take charge of their future. Over the 8 weeks, I will teach your teen concepts and skills to help them build self-awareness, strong character, emotional resilience, and personal success. And these are the building blocks of what I'm calling a powerhouse mindset. When your teen goes through this program, they will come out with a mindset that makes them a force to be reckoned with. And best of all, this program is available for free because of the generous underwriting provided by the Children's Services Council of Palm Beach County. We're launching our first cohort starting in June 2025 and a second cohort in August. So don't miss out on this opportunity if you're in this local area. Check the show notes for a link that you can visit to learn more about the program, or visit lifeeditproject.com/powerhouse for details. Okay, back to the show. A third key area where intentionality will serve you better than perfectionism as a parent is in your correction. And by correction, I'm talking about how you respond when mistakes happen. And not just your kids' mistakes, but your own mistakes as well, right? Because your children, they're not just learning by what you tell them, they are also learning by watching you, by demonstration. And how you demonstrate, how you course correct after mistakes will teach your kids everything. It's such an important lesson. So when I talk about correction, there are 4 types of correction that I want you to think about so that you can come up with your own approach as a parent. And this is going to give you a tremendous head start. It's going to totally change the game. Okay, the first type of correction is boundaries. And boundaries, I want you to think of those as limits that you set for your child's well-being, or limits that you set for your own well-being as a parent. Your child should absolutely get acquainted with boundaries. They should learn how to operate within them, and they should be learning how to set them for themselves because it will help them move through life more successfully. A second type of correction is discipline. And I want you to think about discipline as how you train your child to cultivate the ability for them to control themselves. Because if they cannot control their thoughts, their actions, if they cannot control their habits, then life will get away from them. So instilling discipline in them is a type of correction that, again, is going to set them up and help you as a parent make your child more successful. A third type of correction, and this is one that we often think about, is consequences. Consequences, I want you to think about those as the natural effect of a choice or an action. And as parents, we get to think about how much and to what extent and when we will allow our children to experience the full range of consequences that are the result of their actions, right? Sometimes our role as parents is to shield our children from consequences, and sometimes we are better served in letting them actually experience the consequences. And a fourth type of correction that I want you to think about is punishment. And this is often what we think about when we think about correction, and often punishment is confused with discipline. But I would like to propose to you that it's actually separate. Punishment is really a penalty that is used to disincentivize bad behavior. And, as parents, I do believe that there are instances where a penalty might be the most helpful way to respond to a particular type of mistake. But again, what you can be intentional about is the types of penalties that you will dish out as a parent. You get to decide how you will respond to mistakes, again, both your own and to the mistakes of your child. So those are the three areas where if you are more intentional, you are going to become a better parent with your attention, your instruction, and your correction. If you have been feeling inadequate or overwhelmed as a parent, I really hope that this episode sparked some ideas for you and how you can approach parenting differently and to approach parenting with more confidence. You don't need to have it all figured out. Let me say that again. You do not need to have it all figured out. You don't need to get it right all the time. You just need to stay present and be intentional. And I promise you that goes so far. And if perfectionism has you second guessing your parenting skills, please know you are not failing. You're just figuring it out. And I would love to help you do that with more peace and less pressure. Use the link that's in the show notes to book a call with me, and let's talk about how my one-on-one coaching can help you be a better parent and have a better relationship with your kids. I cannot wait to get started, so tap that link whenever you're ready. All right, folks, that is all for this week. I will be back in your ears next week with another juicy episode. In the meantime, be present with your kids on purpose. You got this. Peace.